Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening into the replay. Once again, we are in Vlogmas 2018, looking to bring you the best content on the internet when it comes to basically taking your life, owning nothing, controlling everything, implementing a strategy that all elite and all wealthy people are utilizing. And this is for everybody understanding contract law, learning how to utilize contracts. And so today we're going to be dealing with a specific style of contract, which is a trust contract, but it is either the benefits of a land trust versus a real estate investment trust. So definitely going to be going over those details today. And so once again, this episode will discuss the benefits of a land trust versus a real estate investment trust, or what they call a REIT in the public. And thank you, Jordan Tia, for tuning in live. But I want to start out, do you want to reduce your tax liability? I hear so many entrepreneurs, dealt with one recently, tell me that, their greatest expense is their tax liability. You know, why not bypass certain taxes and passing on real property? There is an estate tax, there is a property tax that you will receive when you try to pass on property to your children or to your heirs in a specific entity. And so I definitely want to talk about that. Do you want to create your lifestyle into an expense? Make your house a home business office? It's very important. I was, dealing with a associate and a partner recently, and he was telling me how he has property internationally, and every house has a home office. He's married, so him and his wife both have offices at every property that they have. They've taken every piece of property that they have. It's inside of a trust, a specific style of trust, which we're going to talk about. But every trust property has an office to justify why it is a legitimate business expense. It is because it is a satellite office of their family business. Very, very important. In our community where I come from with the trust, we always talk about family is business and business is family. And so when you talk about family as business, your residence, what you call a personal residence, can be a family business expense for you all to grow your wealth. And so that's something that I definitely want to talk about today. Very, very important. What if your children or your family would not be able to fight over the property when the property is passed along from one generation to the next? I hear so many clients, so many individuals contact the vault and they say, well, how can I, avoid my children or family members fighting over specific pieces of property, such as the real estate of the family that, whether the grandmother holds it, the mother holds it. What the real estate investment trust or the land trust allows you to do is to get things out of a personal capacity and puts it into more of a more, I guess you would say, more of a business capacity. And so the trustees over the trust have to make business decisions. And so people that are just beneficiaries of the property don't necessarily get the fight over the property because they're not in control. They just get the benefit from the trust because the trust contract is set up for them just to benefit, but not for them to control the asset, but to benefit from the asset, not just control it. So thank you, Farrah Hudson, for tuning in live. Appreciate you. So definitely want to, if you all are joining me live or even listening to replay, I always appreciate the comments, the chats. We got a ton of emails already this month. It's the second day, and we're going to keep getting more emails as we go through this month. And so I'm definitely going to make it a point to continue to do an episode every single day for the month of August 2018. So there are things about land trust that I definitely want to make clear. There, people that live in Florida or people that live in Illinois, those states have almost been coined as land trust states. And I do want to be very clear that even though those states are considered land trust, and historically they've been looked at as land trusts, which are very, very awesome and beneficial states to have a trust in. That when they say it's a land trust state, that just means that on their legislative side, on their public side, they are very, very open, warm, and receptive to individuals having trust in that state, whether they're public or private. They're really big on protecting, actually, the rights of individuals that have trust and things of that nature in that particular state, and specifically for real estate or real property that is being held inside of that state. So very, very favorable. It shields individuals from taxes if you live in another state, especially in Florida, where a lot of people just retire here or they have a vacation home. It's very, very important to be able to have the property to where it's shielded, and it minimizes a personal tax liability and even a personal lawsuit ability, but you still have the property. The property's there, and it's a self-regulated entity. If it's private and if it's in the state, then it has some legislative restrictions, but it's protected by the state, which is really, really awesome. So thank you for Dia Mallard for tuning in live. Appreciate you. So I definitely want to let you know that these land trust states such as Illinois and Florida are very favorable, but just know that they're favorable because they respect contract law. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the universal contract law for the United States, because every state is under the United States, even though they favor land trust in those states such as Illinois or Florida. Every state is a trust state. Why? Because every state is based off of a contract. And so the United States, even Louisiana, are all under the United States, which is we'll go to their law of the Constitution, which is Article 1, Section 10, which says no state will impair the obligation of a contract. And that's paraphrasing Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution. Now, every state of the United States is under or utilizes that law, I should say. And so when you get to Louisiana, that's the one state that doesn't run necessarily off of common law respect for law, because they're not a common law state. They are a Napoleonic or civil law state based off of their state law, but they do respect contracts. And Louisiana falls under the United States, which it still deals with contracts in the United States. So Article 1, Section 10 gives every state the ability to protect contracts publicly and privately. So there are different types of trust, ladies and gentlemen, many different types of trust, but particularly you have your public trust and you have your private trust. Now we're going to talk about private real estate investment trust today, not just a public real estate investment trust, because a real estate investment trust is a entity that is a separate, distinct legal entity from your personal name, where assets can be placed inside of this trust and actually managed by another individual or managed by yourself. And so real estate investment trusts are different from the public ones because it allows the family to create a business together. It allows you to grow your family estate from this position together. You all might have 4 or 5 houses individually, but having one entity own those properties in different a real estate investment trust, whether it's public or private, allows you to do, because it is, well, on the private side, we're talking about a federal entity, whereas on the public side, you might be talking about a state-created real estate investment trust, whereas the private one has a lot more flexibility to move into one jurisdiction and the next and still deal with the federal tax laws if it has to deal with those things. And so that is a big deal when you're able to come together with your family collectively, place properties inside of a trust, particularly a real estate investment trust, and then turn those properties into what they really are. Everyone says, oh, my house is the greatest investment that I have, but why is it not working for you? Just like I mentioned earlier, you can put those properties in a position to where they are working for you as a business expense and not just a personal expense that you're taking minimal deductions, because we all know business expenses they have a different liability in a different context than personal expenses on your personal 1040, whereas business expenses, depending on the entity, have a different liability and specifically tax liability associated with them. When the property is converted into a business entity, there's a different type of tax liability as opposed to the personal tax liability. And so that's why a land trust or a private real estate investment trust brings incredible value to you and your family to grow your wealth and pass on your wealth from one generation to the next. And so how do you do this? You do it by giving up ownership and you retain control. See, our philosophy at the Vault, our private trust community is own nothing, control everything. I'll repeat that again. You have to give up control. You have to give up ownership, but you maintain control. Now, some people, I know a lot of lawyers, once you hear this, you might go to a public lawyer, and this is what they're going to refer you to. It's called the revocable trust. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a land trust, and I'm talking about a private real estate investment trust. I'm not talking about a public real estate investment trust, a private real estate investment trust. It allows you to give up ownership and retain control. Very, very important. Instead of you using, your property as a personal expense, now it's a business expense. And you'll be able to do that by utilizing our proprietary system to even have the house for help as far as charities. That can even reduce your tax liability. See, people don't understand that your house can be set up as not your house, because once you give it to the trust, it's not yours anymore. Like I say, you give up ownership, but you can maintain control through systems that are out there, and one of ours in particular is proprietary. So that means you have to be in our trust system, in our training, which we do provide at the vault, the training of trusteeship and how to give up ownership once again, but maintain control of what you call an asset, or your house, what you call your greatest investment. So the house, how many people do you think are walking around that are wealthy, that their houses are held by their foundations, they're held by their charities, and these are residents that they are living in? See, this is business. It's not personal, ladies and gentlemen. We live in a capitalistic society. Everything is for business purposes. Even the property that you may live in can be a home office for your charity, and a charity that you do in your neighborhood or internationally. It can be the office. Just to make you aware, that's called reducing tax liability, specifically with a charity, ladies and gentlemen. And that's something we know how to execute here at the vault, something that we can help you do. But what if you can bypass conventional wisdom and protect you and your family's wealth and estate and property for generations, tax-free? That is what we offer at the vault. That is what we are looking in, and we help our trustees execute on a daily, on a yearly basis, to protect themselves, to protect their families, and to pass on wealth from one generation to the next. There's a thing called inheritance tax, ladies and gentlemen, that you're going to give your children if you don't put yourself in the correct position in these type of structures. There's a thing called estate tax that if you don't put yourself in these type of structures, you will pass along to your children. What else is there? If you don't even have these entities in place and you're passing them along without a will, guess what? The property that you have can go into what's called intestate. And that means you die without a will or some type of entity in place that can pass along the wealth outside of your personal name because you're passed and you didn't have any legal documents to pass them along to any specific person. So then your estate goes into probate, and that's another tax. You know how many taxes I just named? Those are 3 or 4. It can add up to more than that. And guess what? The lawyers that are going to help you pass along that estate, guess what? They're going to get their cut too. So not only is the state going to get their cut, the lawyers are going to get their cut. You can bypass those things by having it in a separate, distinct legal entity, such as a land trust or a real estate investment trust, which is not yours, but is something that you control as a trustee. That is what we provide at the vault. That is what we train our trustees to know. It's how to execute those things and hire the correct lawyers if they need to in that particular state. That's what we provide, ladies and gentlemen. And we look forward to you all joining us in the vault and protecting your assets, growing your assets, owning nothing and controlling everything tax-free. So I'm here for any questions, any comments, any challenges, and to what is it that we're talking about. If you would like more information, if you would like to get a consultation on what is it that I've talked about so far with real estate investment trust or even land trust, I feel that the real estate investment trusts are superior to the land trust because the real estate investment trusts are recognized not just for personal situations that can be converted to business situations. Real estate investment trusts are looked at as pooled trusts that have multiple properties inside of them, giving a dividend to the shareholders or the beneficiaries if possible. And so there's a lot of things that we can discuss via a consultation. If you would like one of those, you can email us at christian@trustchristian.com. Once again, that's christian@trustchristian.com. And just wanted to make you all aware of the benefits of what I say is one of the best superior entities to hold real estate in, which is a private real estate investment trust as opposed to the public real estate investment trust. I am going to create an episode this week more geared towards the business people and the entrepreneurs that are actually acquiring property, and why a private real estate investment trust is superior to even a public real estate investment trust, because I see and I come across a lot of real estate investors that don't have private real estate investment trust, but they're in a public real estate investment trust and they don't really know the difference. They're not aware of a private investment trust, private real estate investment trust, and there's a lot more flexibility, there's a lot more control, and there's tax minimization because it's a private entity, not a public entity. The rules are different for public entities. They're regulated by the state, whereas the private, they're going off of contract law, and contract law is private law. That's why it's called a private real estate investment trust, just like they're called public real estate investment trusts, because they're under the regulation of the legislator of that state. So I just want to make those things very, very clear to you. I appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to the replay. Once again, if you would like to get a consultation on how to do what is it that we're talking about with personal property, owning nothing but controlling everything and maintaining control of those assets, preparing you for the lawyers in that area, Christian@trustchristian.com. Once again, that email, you can contact us at Christian@trustchristian.com. If you want to go listen to past episodes, more about trust and not just real estate investment trust or land trust, you all can go to, what is that? Welcome to the vault.com. Welcome to thevault.com, and look at some of the past episodes that we have. You can stay on our YouTube channel, The Vault, and we love you and appreciate you. My whole goal here is to educate and share with individuals, to share with them things that they can prepare themselves to do and execute and live their lives a lot more efficiently. And if they do need to consult with lawyers, that's what we provide, the information that you can to help. They can help you execute what you need to be executing, but we're here to aid you in that process as far as consultation. So thank you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. If you have any questions, I'll stay on for about 10 or 15 more seconds, and I appreciate you all greatly for tuning in live or listening in the replay. Once again, Christian at Trust Christian, if you have any additional questions or comments. Okay, well, that definitely just about does it. Appreciate you all greatly for listening into the content. Definitely look forward to hearing some of the feedback after, especially as far as the replay comments. And definitely we'll be doing another episode tomorrow. Once again, it may be more catered towards business as opposed to just taking personal residences and personal properties and putting them inside of the trust and things of that nature. So Farrah Hudson has a question before we get out of here. Can you put this in place before you have wealth? Yes, you can. And it's always important to, when you're building a house, you have to have a foundation. It's called the structure of the house. See, the foundation, see how these words are synonymous? The legal terms, a foundation is a charity in the public. The foundation is a structure to hold the entire system of wealth that you're building. And so, yes, it should be put in place, but people in the public are not traditionally taught this. They're not taught business first. They're taught personal first. They don't know contracts. Very important to have contract law knowledge, which is private because contract law is private, and have that put in place first. So is there a minimum of money that you have before you can put a trust in place? I wouldn't say a minimum amount. You just have to find someone such as the Vault that provides those services of making sure individuals can own nothing, control everything, put their assets in a position where they're not owning them, but they can control them and still grow those assets and get rid of a personal liability of those assets, and also which is lawsuit ability, and also tax liability, because personal taxes are different than business taxes. And so by having it in a real estate investment trust, private or public, or by having it in a land trust, it changes the tax liability completely. And so it's not necessarily a minimum amount of money that you can have or should have before you put it in. You know, the example I always give people is, let's just think about it. If the house that you have is $1 million property and you get sued for $50,000, or if your income is $1 million and you get sued for $50,000, you're not going to hurt that much. But an individual that's making $50K and they actually are getting sued for $20,000, you can see how it really affects their lifestyle. So by having these structures, once again, the foundation in place to hold the wealth and hold the assets, because the wealth is an asset is wealth, then it puts you in a position and puts the wealth in a position to grow, and it also changes the tax liability, but it minimizes and eliminates a personal ability to sue you. It's like if I walked in the trust house, I can't sue you, because if I sue you, I'm not going to get anything. So I have to specifically have a contract with the trust in order for me to sue the trust, because how can I sue someone I never even dealt with, or I don't even know who they are? See, most people think when you're walking into a elite or wealthy people's house, you think they own that house, but they don't. The house is inside of a trust. The house is inside of a charity. And that's how it's meant to be done, because that is the structure. Whether it's a trust or a foundation, it could be an LLC that owns that property. Why? They converted their house into a business, where the home office is a business office for them to be able to do business out of the house. LLC, S Corp, or C Corp, it still turned the house into a business expense as opposed to a personal expense. And we share with you how to do that efficiently and effectively in the vault in our trustee training, specifically dealing in trust, not LLCs, S Corps, or C Corps, but trust, because it is a contract. And once again, you can go to Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution and see that they protect contract law. So thank you, Farah, for the question. Appreciate you as well so much. Thank you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. Feel free to tune in tomorrow. It's not going to be the same time, but they're generally going to be after 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So look forward to you all joining us in the future. We're going to have another episode once again about this real estate and this property. I'm really excited because real estate is what a lot of people think that you're supposed to hold your wealth in. But why are you holding your wealth personally and can be sued out of all the assets, or you can't pass along the assets effectively and efficiently because taxes are going to eat them away? Estate tax, probate tax, inheritance tax, all of those things are going to be effective and are things that you need to be thinking about when you're passing along your wealth, particularly real estate. And we want to make sure that you know how to grow those assets, not just protect them, but grow those assets. That's very important, to be able to grow your assets and do it with your other family members, and then not have your family members fighting over assets when you do pass, or the person that has the property and they do pass. It's very important, whether it's your mom, your dad, or you individually, being able to pass the property on, but not have family members have the ability to fight over it. They can't fight over it if they never were able to control it, but they were to just benefit from it. They either accept the beneficiary position, or they don't have they don't use it at all. But the trustees are going to make sure that no one is fighting over those assets. So very, very important. So thank you all for tuning in live or the replay. Radia, thank you for tuning in live. Appreciate you all for tuning in live. And see the